And hello and welcome everyone to the comic multiverse where the worlds of nerd meet. It's our 140th episode, Matt.
140 already. It doesn't seem like it.
No, I know we always say that. I feel like that's a common theme if someone was to do a supercut of us not believing how far our show has gone on, but maybe that's just because this is the most consistent show you or I have ever been on.
Yeah, it's quite insane. It doesn't feel like it though as well.
No, we've been doing this for like a couple years now. And it's a special episode. I mean, every episode's a special episode, but this one's especially special, you see, because we're talking about Shazam. That's going to be our whole big spoiler cast at the second part of the episode. But don't feel like you can't watch the first half because we're going to be talking about all the news that went down this week.
Yes, and there was quite a bit of news.
There was, all things considered. We're also talking about our weeks in general. How was your week, Matt?
It was pretty good. It's pretty good. As we were talking about at the start of the show, we've both been playing like Sekiro, among other games as well. But yeah,
Yeah, I finally got Persona 5 because they finally fell into my price range. It's a game I've literally been meaning to play for years, and it's like, hey, it's 26 bucks Canadian. Now I'm like, all right, cool.
I saw that pop up on the PlayStation. It's like, oh, Joel finally got Persona 5. I could like kind of talk to him about it.
We can have our waifu wars. Who is best girl, Joel? Tell me who is best girl.
how,
I don't know yet.
how far are you into it?
I haven't even started it yet because I kept going back to Sekiro. That's my thing. I'm like, fine, I'm gonna start a new game over here, and then I'm like, okay, well, let me try a little bit more Sekiro. All right, let me try a little bit more. I can get a little bit farther. It's a game you hate in spurts, but then you keep coming back to it. It's a beautiful, beautiful form of abuse from software has set up for all of its sadist fans.
Yes, it's quite fantastic.
Hurt me good, Sekiro. But yeah, my week, if you couldn't tell by following me on Twitter, has been all wrestling ever since I started the wrestling stream, the unsolicited wrestling podcast over on Twitch, because, you know, I know my audience. I know how unsolicited it is.
Yes, and because I have so many of the same followers as you, my whole stream has been about wrestling as well, even though I'm not involved in wrestling in any way.
It's amazing when that stuff penetrates your timeline to the point where you have to ask, where it's like, okay, why? Who tackled Bret Hart? Was this a storyline, or did some crazy fan actually do it? A crazy fan actually did it.
That was great.
In a dumb Rasta hat like Homer Simpson when he's trying to blend in at Lollapalooza. Man, that dude is so friggin' dumb, the guy who did that, because even if you think wrestling is fake, you're still in a room with like 4 retired UFC champions, 5 former Golden Glove champions, about 10 different NFL linebackers outside just the regular freaks of nature and steroid cases who all love Bret Hart and are waiting to beat your ass.
Yeah. Not to mention all the fans that are still adamant that it's not fake.
Oh, yeah. Oh, totally. Also, too, man, Barclays Security Center, holy crap, did you guys drop the ball? They basically had to, human wave the guy off the stage and then bring him to the police.
Yeah, people were saying that, like, they didn't even bother putting up, like, proper security. I'm thinking, you're in like, an arena with, like, thousands of people. Why not put barricades up? Because I've seen, like, wrestling rings where they have had barricades and stuff, but this one didn't look like it had any.
Well, because it's the Hall of Fame is the thing. It's supposed to be like a show. They're not actually doing any wrestling. But
still,
I mean, some fighting happened.
Yeah.
So freaking nuts. My favorite bit there is that Davey Boy Smith Jr., who everyone else is wearing like really nice like suits and everything because it's a fancy occasion. He's wearing like his uncle's merch shirt, gold pants, pushes his way past the crowd to get a couple looks in at the dude.
That's awesome.
And I'm like, that's my man. That's my hero. Can Davey Boy Jr. watch my back whenever I go anywhere? Ain't no one gonna mess with me. Yeah, that's the kind of week we've been having. Actually, Mania is going on right now. But I'm glad that we had to do this show, Matt. That way, when I do watch it later, I can skip past all the matches I don't want to watch.
That's great.
There you go. In this era of Netflix and streaming, no, I just want to watch the ones I want to watch. But yes, we did actually have some news this week, Matt, as you said, a surprising amount considering that, you know, we're in kind of the doldrum times right now. Although I suppose that's going to change because we had Shazam and we're going to be having Avengers Endgame in no time.
Yeah, two weeks coming up.
I could not
Jeez.
believe that when I went to the theater and I looked at the poster. I'm like, really? I'm going to be back here again for that? I'm like, well, then that's it, right? And we're not going to have anyone for it. Nope, nope. Then we got Spider-Man Homecoming in the summer. Holy crap.
Yeah. And I think like I'm not rushing out to see it. I think like this week Hellboy comes out.
There's also Hellboy. Again, I'm in no particular rush to see Hellboy either. I hope it does good. I have no animosity for Hellboy, but it's like going to the movies getting more and more expensive. I got to save money for something.
Yeah. Hey, they got my money. Lobster Johnson's in the film. They got my money from that.
There you go. You got to at least get some money in there for good old. Immensely on this show and following quite closely the DC Walmart comics, the big 100-page giants that managed to bring together a bunch of classic stories that people know, like Hush and all this other stuff, but also at least headlined by one new story by one writer. So if you wanted to see Brian Michael Bendis write Batman for the first time, you had to pick that up. If you wanted to see Tom Seeley write Swamp Thing, you'd have to pick that up. And it got to the point where you and I are like, well, it's hard to find these at Walmart. They're damn near impossible. Who's buying these? I would like to read these stories without A, being forced to pirate them, or B, having a fan send them to me.
Yeah, well, yeah, not only that, they're not even available here in Australia. And we have some comic shops that like they went to like Comic-Con or something over in America. They bought a heap, and then they were flogging them off for like $50 a comic. I'm like, fuck off, I'm not buying that for that.
No good. But, well, I guess apparently, the powers that be listen to the comic multiverse, Matt, because those 100-page giant stories are actually going to be collected and coming to comic stores in July.
Excellent. I will definitely get them. Now, are they collecting the whole issue, or they're collecting only the new stories?
They say they're collecting the whole thing, but I think that's kind of stupid because these are stories, again, like Hush, that are already collected.
Exactly.
I think what they meant to say is we're collecting the new stuff.
I hope so, because that's basically a whole nother like chapter of. I'm guessing these stories are kind of in canon.
Well, we'll have to read them to find out, won't we? Which is kind of important. It'll be an interesting little experiment.
Yeah, because then this is basically to like a lot of us like the hidden stories of the DC universe, which is really cool.
When it comes time to make videos on this, you bet your ass I'm going to call it that. Brian Michael Bendis' first Batman, the Lost Batman story. Everything you missed from the Lost Batman stories, red arrows, little circles.
Yeah, Batman is actually good now.
Just all the worst clickbaity tactics I'm going to roll out when this happens. You wait and see. But yeah, I'm excited for this. Again, it's probably going to be good content for the channels when we actually get a chance to do this. And I'm just happy these stories are places where people can read them. And furthermore to that, this almost solves another problem I know you, myself, and a lot of other people have been talking about in comics, and that is why don't they come out with more original graphic novels? Why don't they come out with more complete stories? And that's kind of what they're doing here, because if you don't read them at Walmart, if you can't find them at Walmart, then they're all brand new to you, aren't they?
Yeah. What banner are they putting these out under? Are they going to make a new one? Are they going to scrap Black Label? Are they,
Yeah. That's a very good question, Matt. We will have to see about that.
Yeah, I don't think they'll put them out under a new label. I think they'll just put them out under DC
as original graphic novels, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Now, our next story here is also DC-centric, but we move on over more to the film side of things. It was announced this week that Viola Davis will be returning to James Gunn's Suicide Squad sequel. Man, that's a tongue twister. Try saying that 7 times. Suicide Squad sequel, Suicide Squad sequel. Yep, see, can't do it. But, she will be returning as Amanda Waller, and I think that's great. She was one of the few things that I could genuinely point to and go, that was good. I wish she was in a better version of this.
Yeah, and it kind of makes sense. She would be coming back since this is like a sequel reboot thing.
Type thing.
Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty cool.
That movie had a lot of problems. She was not one of them. I'm glad James Gunn can see that, and I hope she actually has more to do and can be a little bit closer to her comic counterpart.
Hopefully, yeah.
Yeah, that'd be nice. I think she probably had the one scene that I really, really liked in Suicide Squad, the one that felt like it was from an Ostrander comic, and that is, all right, Amanda Waller, it's time to go. What to do with your team? Oh, no worries. They're dead.
Yeah, she kills them all. That's like an Amanda Waller thing.
That very much is. That's like, nope, it's easier this way.
Yeah.
Cut your losses.
Yeah.
life means nothing to me, and I'm literally the one holding, what is it, your bomb collars right now. If I was that cruel to these people, imagine what I'll do to you.
Yeah, yeah.
Furthermore, to the Suicide Squad story, we had reported here, because, well, we got it from other places, that Idris Elba would be replacing Will Smith as Deadshot. Apparently, that's not the case anymore. Apparently, those early reports were wrong. He's going to be playing a brand new character that isn't Deadshot.
Yeah, well, I think originally he was, but then they thought that might be a bit of a disservice to Smith, so we'll make him a new character, whoever
Will
that
Smith,
will be.
Will Smith, who we still might want to make money off of in the future, potentially.
Yeah.
Yeah, why burn that bridge if we don't have to? Of course, there's a lot of theories all over the place. You know, the first one a lot of people jump to because it's Suicide Squad is Bronze Tiger.
I could see that, yeah.
Another, like evergreen member of the Suicide Squad on multiple versions of the team. A very interesting character in his own right, a character who I've always thought they should do more with because he's so morally gray. Sometimes he's a hero, sometimes he's a villain. He's a martial artist that even Batman respects.
Yeah.
I think that would be fun. Or, they could do something crazy with it and be like, let's just race bend a character who no one really cares about because, again, they did it with Deadshot. No one cared.
Yeah. You know who I would like, if they did race bend the character? I would like it to be someone like Captain Cold.
Idris Elba is Captain Cold. You know what? I think you'd be able to get away with that even more so, too, because it's like, look, did you want a comic book version? Watch the fucking Flash show. He's on there.
Yeah, I'd like it now, and then you could also play with like, which Captain Cold is this going to be Leonard Snutt, the usual one with the gun, or is it going to be like his New 52 one where he kind of had powers?
Right. And I mean, as we've seen with James Gunn too, he's no stranger to colorblind casting. There, obviously, what he did with Tanalat the Pursuer and everything. So, could be a thing. I'd be fine with that if he wanted to, think outside the box with a character.
Yeah, I don't. The thing is with that though, if he was to do something like that, then the team would have two captains since Captain Boomerang is coming back.
Ah, right. Well, I mean, you could write a whole series of jokes around that.
Yeah,
I'm the captain. I'm the captain now.
Could make him like Black Spider.
That would be a fun one, too. Again, there's another guy who's been on a couple versions of the team. Hell, they did a newer version of Clock King, Billy Talkman, who they made a black guy. It would be kind of fun to see Idris Elba be Clock King and him be like, I'm obsessed with time. I run the back end of the operations. I have everything timed to the exact second.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, just Idris Elba is just so goddamn good on his own. It doesn't really matter who he plays. I think he's going to make it worthwhile.
Yeah, definitely.
Just because he's in it. And, I think as it stands right now, they brought the right people back. Viola Davis, great. Totally bring her back. Jai Courtney as Captain Boomerang, maybe the best role he's ever played. So why not?
He was born to play this role.
He was born to play it, and even if you don't see it that way, then maybe they kill him off to really ratchet up the tension and be like, oh look, the one guy we brought back is already dead.
Yeah, he becomes the Slipknot of the second team. They need to bring Slipknot back. He needs to be the leader of the team.
No, Slipknot's the villain, you see. His head didn't blow up all the way, or it's the ghost of Slipknot out for revenge. Why you kill me? Dicks. But yeah, that one I think would be really, really fun. Another piece of potential casting news here. This comes from the Marvel side of things. Obviously, last time we had a show, we talked about Angelina Jolie being cast in a Marvel property. That eventually turned out to totally be true. She's going to be one of the Eternals.
Yeah, she's going to be Cersei.
I think that's how you. Yeah, it's spelt weird, but yes, Cersei is the way you do it. And yeah, Cersei was actually an Avenger for a long period of time, so it makes sense. But the other piece of casting news apparently coming out of Eternals is they want Kumail Nanjiani for something. Now, I am a big Kumail Nanjiani fan. I've loved his work since the days of when he did the Indoor Kids podcast with his wife, and obviously he had a lot of really funny stand-up and guest appearances on stuff like Harmontown, did the podcast circuit for a long, long time. And even just recently, he was in that movie, The Big Sick, which is based on his own life and how he met his wife. And it's very funny and maybe like one of the best romantic comedies I've seen in a long time. I would love the idea of him joining the Marvel Universe in some capacity.
Yeah, he's a really funny actor. I've loved him in like Silicon Valley, and I think he's
Yeah.
in that new Twilight Zone series as well.
Yes, I think he is too.
Um, and yeah, I'm intrigued to see who he will play though.
Yeah, as am I. I think also too he has a bit of a Marvel connection because he has a new movie coming out now called Stuber, where it's like a buddy cop thing. Him and Dave Batista.
I saw the trailer for that before we started this podcast.
I It came up in my feed. I didn't have a chance to watch it, but I wanted to. It looked fun.
It did. It looks pretty funny.
It does look fun. I know. What is it? Who's the other stoner geek comedian I like? So, Brian Posehn, who writes Deadpool. He's also friends with Kumail Nanjiani, and Posehn loves wrestling.
Hmm.
And his whole thing is like, oh, Kumail's such a friggin' fair weather wrestling fan. You get in one movie with Dave Batista, and suddenly you're a fan and you love it now. After you made fun of me for years about it. I thought that was just a cute story, which also leads to the next question. When is Brian Posehn going to join the Marvel Universe in some capacity is the real question.
It's coming. It's coming.
I could see him as the man in the chair. Oh, Brian Posehn for the Mole Man. He could be the Mole Man, I think. He's too big to be the Mole Man. That's the joke. He's like 8 foot tall in real life.
Yeah, that's how you would play it. It's like, this is the Mole Man, but he's like 8 foot, 9 foot tall.
Hey, Reed Richards, it's me, the Mole Man. Just thought I'd check in with you. I like Posehn a lot. He's very funny. That's another thing we should do. Our favorite geek comedians there: Patton Oswalt, Kumail Nanjiani, Brian Posehn, Blaine Capatch. Remember him? He hosted that show Beat the Geeks for a little bit.
Oh, I think I do remember that show. I think so.
It
Yeah.
sucks. It sucks that show's not anywhere you can get it because that was actually a really fun concept.
Yeah.
Now, talking about casting, and this actually has nothing to do with Marvel or DC, but it is a nerdy topic and something I know our fans will probably feel strong about. John Cho is going to be headlining the Netflix version of Cowboy Bebop. They've cast him as Spike Spiegel.
And I'm completely fine with that.
As am I. This whole cast sounds really, really good. And normally, my knee-jerk reaction whenever they're like, we're doing a live-action anime, I'm like, I don't like the sounds of that. And especially with Netflix, where it's like, we did a live-action Death Note.
I was just about to say, it's like I'm hyped, but at the same time, they did Death Note.
Here's hoping they learned their lesson on that one. And again, Cowboy Bebop is a lot more simple. Again, like all of what makes it amazing is in like the liner notes. It's like the style of it. It's how all of it is framed because the stories are all incredibly deceptively simple.
Yeah, yeah.
And I have to wonder because this is like a 26 episode show that they're probably going to put down to like 10 episodes, or was it 6? It was much less than you think.
Yeah, yeah.
It was much less than you think, and you got everyone you wanted. You got Faye, you got Jet, you got Vicious in there. So I really wonder how this is all going to shake out.
Yeah, it's very, very intriguing how they're going to do it. I do as well, like, because they revealed the rest of the cast as well. So good. They got the guy who played Bushmaster, playing what's his name?
Jet.
Yeah, Jet.
Which,
That's also cast. I love that guy.
It's really good. I'm just like, man, this guy, he's the go-to now for Netflix.
And rightly so. He's awesome.
But yeah, really stellar cast on this one. I have my eye on this one. Please don't disappoint. Next, you also need an amazing soundtrack. Can you get Yoko Kanno to come back and actually do music for this? Because I think that would be pretty amazing.
That would be pretty amazing. I'm hyped, but cautiously hyped. I do know that like the people behind the scenes are actually like really good. I think they actually got the creator there to consult. I think, is it Christopher Yost or Graham Yost is behind it, and he's done some fantastic shows like Justified and all these other shows. So like, it's in good hands.
I like that. Yeah. Actually, come to think of it, Justified has a lot of Cowboy Bebop-ish DNA because it too is a modern day Western in its own way, with a hero who is very Spike Spiegel-ish, actually. All right, I like that. Sign me up for this one. I'm on board. For everyone who says, why don't you talk about more anime? There, we just talked about anime. When this comes out, we'll talk about more anime.
Yeah, and I'm sure once, Netflix gets Evangelion, we'll talk about more anime.
Oh, I'm sure we will. Also, too, if you have not seen Cowboy Bebop, it's like 26 episodes, and they're all really, really good. Go watch it.
And there is a movie of it already, so watch that as well.
There is a movie. The movie is good. They fight Bob Dylan.
They really do, don't they?
The movie is called Knocking on Heaven's Door, and the villain is totally just Bob Dylan. Also, a lot of talks about nanomachines and terrorism back in a day and time when that was like, a novel concept and not something we kind of feel that we're staring down the eyes of.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is shocking when you go back and watch it. You're like, wait, this movie was made when?
Lots of animes are like that, ahead of their time in terms of
That's
like
true.
their content, their topics they breach.
Yeah, Akira. Oh, in the future there will be, clown biker gangs. We're not there yet, but
We've had clowns terrorizing people. They just weren't on bikes.
yeah, yet once they master motorcycle technology. I think that movie also predicted the coming of the Juggalos in its own way.
That was the whole basis of the film.
You see,
I hope
because
Taika Waititi's movie does that.
does this as well. You see, he got really down in the Juggalo community to really figure it out. Oh man, speaking of Taika Waititi, that was another thing I did this week. I watched the first episode of that What We Do in the Shadows.
It's so good, isn't it?
It's very funny. I like the boss from the IT crowd is in it. I like there's a lady vampire now. It's very good.
I love the energy vampire where you're never really sure if he's actually a real vampire or just a really boring person.
Or if he's just fucking with you. That is great. That is like, and what's our funny vampire? We did like the old Nosferatu vampire in the movie, so let's do an energy vampire. But yeah, that show's funny. I hope that show has a good long run because it's very novel.
Yeah.
Now what else do we have going on? Some sad news before we get into our big spoiler cast, that is Doomsday Clock number 10 has been pushed back 6 more weeks.
I'm not like surprised. I'm not surprised at all.
You can't be surprised anymore. We're the parents with the delinquent child, Matt. I'm not mad. I'm just very disappointed in you, Doomsday Clock.
Yeah, as I said on Twitter, the story that comes out after about all these is probably going to be more satisfying than the actual ending of this series. And be more impactful.
No doubt. And the question is, who's gonna break first? I don't think it'll be John's to break and be like, and let me tell you how they screwed me around on this one. I'm gonna guess it's the artist who's gonna break first.
Yeah, Gary Frank might, especially since like he keeps getting asked about it on Twitter and everything. Like everyone's and rightly so. People are asking like, what are these delays? Because like, for me, like I can't think of what the delays will be other than he has to redraw it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, I mean, absolutely. I mean, like there gets to a point where it can only be writing and editorial things. It can only be that, and I have to assume, considering that this story comes out amid Jeff Johns stepping down as president and a new regime and a lot of power struggles going on in there, I can only assume that this was like creative dick measuring run amok, and it's like, well, you can't have this for the end of your Watchmen story because we're going in this direction. I know you planned this, but now we're changing everything.
Yeah, or like something like that, or like they just keep like whoever's in charge now keeps sticking them around like, we'll get to that, and never does, so they have to delay the book. And it's a shame.
It is. And again, as we said before, you can feel it. Like issue 5 of that series, there's a really hard like creative pivot.
Yeah.
Like right when they start mentioning Sanctuary and like creating new Court of Owls characters and everything.
Yeah. There's just this like shift where it's like it was going and this I could see where it was going, and then just kind of just like went, we've got to like change all this stuff and add Sanctuary and weird like Russian politics stuff because that's topical now. And
at the moment, well, I mean, it was topical to the original Watchmen too, but still, it feels
a bit heavy-handed here is all I'm saying.
Well, you say heavy-handed, but I actually like that they can show Putin but don't name him Putin. Meanwhile, Marvel does the same thing but always dance around actually calling the Russian president by name. Also, too, we got a little Trump at the end of the last one there. Again, we don't see his face or hear his name. We just call him Mr. President, but the way he's written, all right, huge, we got huge plans for these superheroes. Bring me my McDonald's. And I'm like, man, 20 years from now, this is going to read weird, I bet, to people.
Yeah.
I'm like, I feel like there's some context here I'm not getting. But yeah, that was the news for this week, everyone. Some pretty decent stuff going on there. I'm fairly happy with it.
Yeah.
If I was to grade this news, I would give it a B+.
B+ is fair.
It's a B plus player, this news, and that's just fine. I guess with that, we can hop on over and talk about Shazam. Matt and I both saw it this week. If you haven't, feel free to save this part of the episode and come back later when you have, because we're going to be spoiling everything.
Yeah, everything.
Everything. Spoiling the secrets to life, the universe, and everything. I mean, I guess I'll just come out of the way and say it right now. I really liked Shazam. In fact, it might be my favorite DC movie to date.
It is my favorite DC movie to date. This is awesome, and it's kind of shocking it's taken them this long to do something like this.
And I feel that it got away with being as good as it was because they didn't pay it near as much attention, the higher ups, and they just let the creators create.
Yeah, I that's what I believe. I believe they probably didn't have a lot of faith in it. So they're like, we don't need to worry about that. And then now it's suddenly a hit and they're like, oh, fuck.
we always meant it that way. Also, too, they clearly made this for much less than Aquaman and Wonder Woman were made for.
Which is shockingly, like, considering how good it looks. Like, I think it was made for less than 100 million. So this movie, no matter what it makes, is gonna make money and be successful.
Oh yeah, and here's the thing too. Being made for less means that the creators had to be more creative and had to, do more interesting things. And it made the movie cooler by extension. They even fixed one of the problems that always nagged at me about Aquaman and Wonder Woman, which I enjoyed. But if you'll recall when we talk about them, I really hated the final act fight scenes because they were all made in a computer. There was nothing real to grab onto. It felt like I was watching a video game cutscene.
Yeah, whereas this is the opposite. This is all real.
It's undeniably real. They filmed this with real actors at a real carnival with a real Mark Strong.
It's all real. There's physical stuff that they can touch, and you can tell it's real and everything. But yeah, we're skipping ahead. Let's start at the beginning of the story, which surprisingly gives a lot of like time devoted to Savannah and like his backstory and everything.
The villain gets a shocking amount of material in this movie, which I think is great. Because I feel a lot of the villains in a lot of these movies have been so underserved. Again, Ares doesn't show up till the end of Wonder Woman, really. Orm actually has a good point, but no one bothers to debate his good point, and his motivations for why he hates the surface keep changing every 5 minutes. The less said about Lex Luthor and Steppenwolf, the better.
yeah. Zod, again, just wants to like hit Zod stuff. Yeah, everyone does. Everyone has. For good reason. Here we have a villain who is given time to develop a real three-dimensional motivation, actually feel a little sympathetic at times, even if they do lean on what I think is becoming too much of a trend now, and that is let's make the villain a dark reflection of the hero, if only because you're going to want to do Black Adam soon, and Black Adam is already a dark reflection of Shazam. How many dark reflections can you have? Yeah. But his story is really great. I like that, like, straight off the bat, you find out that, like, he was meant to be a possible champion for the Wizard Shazam, but got like seduced by the dark side, by the 7 deadly sins.
It's very, very Star Wars. He will lead you astray. We will give you power, unlimited power.
And because of that, it leads obviously to a big car crash. As well, his father is played by John Glover, who played Lionel Luthor in Smallville. So this is the second film where he's been the father to one of DC's bald villains.
who again, Savannah back in the 30s was a bald mad scientist, so
he's been the father of a villain to 2 Superman type characters.
That's amazing. That's wow, I did not get that. That's so cool, actually. But yeah, they set up a really interesting motivation that he goes nuts being that close to power and that close to purpose, only to have it snatched away from him, and he spends the rest of his life basically sacrificing his own childhood to try and get back what he thinks was taken from him. I'm like, man, that's really good.
Yeah, it's a great obsession for the character to have, and great motivation for him. It sets him up for the whole film.
Which, again, they spend a lot of time. As you said, we meet him before we even meet Billy, which is like almost damn near unheard of in a movie like this, setting up the villain before you set up the hero. Yeah,
well, when I first saw it, I'm thinking, are we going to get like, this is Billy's origin with like his parents dying, and then like, oh wait, no, this is Savannah and all that, and like, that's cool.
But they said his name was Thad. I'm like, Thad. Oh, Thaddeus Savannah. Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
But yeah, we do eventually meet Billy, and they set up his origin of being an orphaned kid in Philadelphia and everything. And man, just the young actor cast here, the kid cast was just stellar in this movie,
Yeah.
and it's a good thing that it is, because if they had like one or two bad child actors, that would have just torpedoed this whole thing.
Yeah, they're all perfect, and I think like even some of them, this is like some of their first roles as well.
Yeah.
Which is even more surprising of how good they are as well. They're realistic.
Yeah, and the fact that so many of them, these are like brand new creations, essentially. Like Jeff Johns only created like, Billy's extended foster family for the New 52. And it's funny because I hated that New 52 Shazam so much, because I thought it was so indicative at first of like everything wrong with the New 52, where it's like, oh, let's take this golden age thing and make it dark and gritty and
Yeah, yeah.
trendy and everything. And I remember not liking it so hard, but this movie adapts it so well and has it make sense. And then the fact that that series was used as the jumping point for the new Shazam book, which is really solid. And all I can think is like, damn, Jeff Johns had future sight. He knew what this was gonna look like on the big screen. He was basically planning for this to be adapted.
Yeah, and not only that, the writer of this film obviously added back that like, because obviously the New 52, as you said, was all gritty and had to make it like modern and everything. He added back that like funness to it as well.
Yeah. That almost Dickensian street urchin thing. That's not to say the movie doesn't have an edge to it. It does. And in fact, I think that's one of the smartest things that this movie does, because it takes place in Philadelphia, which is a rough town.
Yep.
I can actually say from experience, because I've been there now. It's rough. The kids, they play in the back alleys. They play in abandoned warehouses. They don't have like playgrounds or anything. But I think what's cool about that is they're like, yeah, this city is rough and it is a little dangerous and these kids are being unsupervised, but it doesn't like, push your face into it and be like, oh, isn't this serious? Isn't this adult? It's like, no, this is just the truth and reality of where these characters live. And again, makes it feel more real and authentic, and I like that.
Yeah, it's like the opposite of what like earlier DCEU films would have done, where they would have gone deep into that. It was like, Billy's a drug user and he's prostituting his Mary and all that sort of stuff.
And his step-parents beat him and everything.
Yeah. Whereas here they play it completely realistic as it is.
Yeah. And again, it's understated, it's subtle. This movie is subtle in ways that I don't think anyone thought a movie called Shazam about a little boy who becomes the Earth's mightiest mortal should be. But again, they know to let things be subtle. And I think more than anything, what this movie nails, it actually nails juggling tones. So the funny scenes are allowed to be funny, and the serious scenes are allowed to be serious. And when the movie gets scary, it actually gets a little scary sometimes.
It does, yeah. It's fantastic. Usually when these films do that, they kind of like miss the point, like where it gets goofy, and then it suddenly shifts tone into like, why the hell is this serious now? Why is this so dark and serious? Yeah, but it balances it so well.
Yeah, it really does. And it just in like the basic filmmaking and storytelling thing, everything hits. This was just a good solid script. And even when it goes to places I didn't think it would go, where it's like, oh yeah, we're gonna give all the other kids powers now in the first movie, I'm like, really? Okay.
Yeah, it works. It completely works, and that's something that was set up as well through the film. It just didn't happen. It's set up through the film, which is great.
Yeah, it doesn't waste your time. This is a movie that knows what you want to see, and it gives it to you.
And Billy, when he turns into Shazam, obviously he's Zachary Levi. He's perfect for this role. I remember I know I was talking shit about it when he first got cast, and rightly so, because like before that, like the guy hadn't really done anything like this. Like you always know him from like Chuck, where he's just like this skinny like nerd guy. And then you see him in this film, and it's completely different. He's perfect in this.
He truly nails this. I am a child pretending to be an adult in an adult's body.
Yeah, it's absolutely perfect. All the jokes he has about that sort of situation are fantastic as well.
And again, even just the little stuff too, where it's like, what would the kids do if they had superpowers? Well, obviously they'd go to no end of shenanigans. They'd make YouTube videos, and as I sit and I watch the YouTube videos, I'm like, man, I hope he's monetizing those. I hope
Yeah, yeah.
I hope he's got some good tags. I hope he's keeping track of the ever shifting meta and everything. And I'm like, oh god, this got too real
Yeah,
on me.
yeah. Oh no, he's not making thumbnails. Oh god.
Oh no, he's got the yellow check marks. Oh no. How are they gonna make Foster rent this month? And then I'm like, oh no, wait, Joel, they're making YouTube videos for fun, not to support themselves like you. Remember when you made videos for fun, Joel? No. But yeah, that's really good. It's funny. I saw the movie with someone, and they had an interesting insight when they left. They're like, "Man, the soundtrack wasn't as good as that as it was in other superhero movies," and it was kind of like a head moment. I'm like, "Oh yeah, I guess ever since Guardians, every superhero movie has also had to have a really interesting and eclectic soundtrack." Huh?
It's very true. It's very true. Yeah, but yeah, the film soundtrack wasn't too impressive. It had some good stuff, but yeah.
Which again, it's like, it's so funny that that's a prerequisite. Now I'm like, no, they had Queen, and I'm like, man, they probably spent half the song budget just for that one Queen song.
I did like the actual score for the film. I liked it actually more than Captain Marvel's, because Captain Marvel's I couldn't actually like hear it, like it wasn't like a good score for a hero like that. Whereas this one actually fit the hero and it was very I want to say like Superman-esque, like heroic and everything.
It felt kind of mystical, magical. Like
Yeah,
they make
yeah.
references to Harry Potter, and I'm like, yeah, the soundtrack here feels like it could be at home in a Harry Potter movie, actually.
Yeah, yeah.
My favorite bit is I like when they're in the toy store having the fight and he steps on the big piano like from Big, and I'm like, oh, a movie where a little boy becomes a man. Ha 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 ha! You're clever, guys. We've seen the same movies.
That had my favorite sound and sight gag where he steps on it and then you hear like other noises and you hear the villain coming from out of frame down the piano as he's running. I'm like, oh, that's a cool gag.
It is, and again, it's very subtle. That's like, people aren't gonna get this, but if you get this, it's gonna be very funny. Even Kevin Conroy as the voice of the Batman, he threw.
Yeah, that was cool. That was cool.
Oh, can we talk about that too? So Freddy, who of course, Marvel Boy Jr., whatever you want to call him, he is a fan of superheroes, and that's kind of our way in for Billy to become Shazam. What I love about it is that all the superhero merch he is wearing in that movie and all the backpacks and everything else you see, that's real DC merchandise. And I'm like, thank you. Is that so hard?
We'll see as well, like that shop as well was full of like DC Universe merchandise and like comics and everything. I'm like, oh, this is like that Flash episode.
Basically. To where I'm like, what's an interesting alternate universe where DC is the only company and there is no Marvel. And no Image, and no Valiant, and no Dark Horse. But yeah, I thought that was really clever, and like as a fan, I felt rewarded and seen in that moment. Where I'm like, oh hey, this is all merchandise I can buy. This is all stuff you can get on like Warner Brothers DCShop.com.
Yeah, it was cool.
And also to the fact that they reference Harry Potter, I'm like, oh yeah, I guess that's a Warner Brothers property too now, huh? I guess you can do that.
Yeah.
Like even just the lore they build up with Shazam in one movie is quite impressive. We get Mr.Mind, we get references to Black Adam, and I'm like, well, there's your next two sequels already set up.
Exactly, they do such a good job setting everything up for this. They explain like, oh, he gets the powers from like Zeus and Hercules and all these different gods. That's what makes up the name Shazam, and they set up the thing with the staff where like if they all grab it, he'll share the powers of those gods with the other kids as well. It's all set up really well.
It is, which is funny. One thing that we know, because we've been reading the comics, and one thing they don't bring up here, it's like, oh, once there were 7 guardians, of magic in the universe of the Rock of Eternity. 1, 2, 3, but there's only 6 counting Shazam himself, which means there's a missing 7. Who's the missing 7th? We don't know. Jeff Johns hasn't written that yet.
Well, he kind of has with that Kid King story going along that. Yeah, he claims it's probably not. But yeah,
he claimed to be, but he's clearly evil, so it couldn't be him. And then they even set up the stuff with the alternate realms too. We see all the doors and everything, and then Mr. Mind even says all the realms will be ours.
Oh my god, there was a great part in there where we see like the crocodile men,
yes,
from from Johns' run, and I'm like, oh my god, that's so cool. I'm surprised we didn't see like the lions and everything. I imagine they're gonna save that for the sequel.
We do get a running bit with tigers. Little Billy wants a tiger,
Yeah.
and his backpack has a tiger on it. And I'm like, ooh, Mr. Tawny, that's fun. I had to explain that to the person I saw the movie with too. It's like, yeah, so like back in like the 30s, he had like a talking tiger who was like his friend and everything, and that's why he's so gung ho from tigers. Are we gonna get a talking tiger in the sequel? Probably.
Yeah. Another thing I'm really surprised the movie didn't do, and I kind of appreciate it for it. It didn't like when they were choosing names, they didn't go, "Oh, how about Captain Marvel" or anything. They just kept they used that as like a joke. They like say, "Oh, we'll call him Captain Sparkle Fingers."
The Red Cyclone.
Yeah, or Thunder Crack or something.
That's pretty.
I'm
good.
surprised they didn't call him the original Captain Marvel name, which was Captain Thunder.
Ah, that'd be funny too.
Yeah, I'm surprised that name didn't come up, but maybe people wouldn't recognize it or something because that was a long time ago.
Geez, Billy, what are us? You know, or your Lightning League? Again, if you want to get really deep in there. Also, too, you know, we only see them for a little bit, but the actors they got to play even the adult versions of the kids were all really good, and their costumes were super comic accurate. I was blown away to see Mary Marvel because I'm like, holy crap, it's fucking Mary Marvel on the big screen. Holy shit.
That was so cool. I was kind of weird because like the actress they got to play the kid Mary Marvel looks about the same age as the adult Mary Marvel. I'm like, why not just use the same one?
Yeah, that was that was interesting. Yeah, I'm trying to think what else can we type here. Oh, I guess we get a little bit of a cameo at the end too. After invoking so much Superman and Batman, we get a Superman.
Well, we get the body of a Superman because it's blatantly obvious Cavill is no longer Superman. Otherwise, he would have done this.
Yes, this should, you know, like if there were any hanging thoughts, you know, any uncertainty, this should put a stop to it. It's not him no more.
Yeah, and before people say, well, he couldn't shoot it because he was shooting something else, I'm like, they could have easily digitally added him in, like green screened him in or something like that. You know, we would never have noticed it.
Yeah, they clearly have no problem doing that, which again, I mean, I guess, you know, if we want to place this movie canon-wise, which I don't even know why you would bother now because the DC film canon is all over the goddamn place, I guess this takes place after Justice League, because if Freddy is a fan and knows them all by name and everything and has all their merchandise, this would have to be after.
Well, not only that as well, like, it could be after that, but also, like, you could also just say, oh, this is a different universe that has like those characters because the Superman suit's actually different. It's his Superman Reborn suit from the comics. It's got like the red accents around the belt and everything.
Right. Oh yeah. Again, it's such a quick scene.
Oh yeah. You'd have to. It's like a blink and you'll miss. But yeah, they could just say, oh, this is a different universe.
Right.
That has similar designs.
I mean, I don't think they will because it's so popular.
No.
I think they would only want to do more stuff with it. I mean, shit, they already cast the friggin' Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson to be Black Adam before they even knew this movie was ever gonna happen.
Yeah. But yeah, like, well, as you mentioned, like before, like it invokes so much Superman stuff. It really, it's basically a Superman film.
You know, it's a Superman movie, if not for the shenanigans. And again, the person I saw the movie with said, you know, I felt like they spent too much time on shenanigans. And I'm like, well, if they didn't do the shenanigans, it would just be a Superman movie then. Yeah,
the thing is it goes even further and makes it like a better Superman film because like he's doing stuff that like Superman should be doing, like we see
him audiences feel a Superman should do.
We see him like saving people, and there's like that great scene in that carnival fight near the end where he like comforts like the child and father who are hiding in that thing. It's like that's a total Superman thing, and it's
Superman.
It's great seeing all that sort of stuff in the film, and I'd really like them to do that in a Superman film.
Wouldn't it be? Billy gets such like a good like hero's journey arc from being like, you know, I don't need nobody, I'm a lone wolf, I just want to find my mother, to, defending, his foster brother from the bullies, even though he doesn't really want to, proving to us, the audience, that yes, he is pure of heart. Yes, he does deserve to be Shazam, even if he doesn't believe he is.
Yeah, yeah. Those bullies as well, they really made you hate them like straight away. It's like
Oh, yeah.
they almost run down a disabled boy and then blame
Yes.
him for it. I'm like, Jesus
For
Christ.
And then invoke, oh, go complain to, you're not parents and your fake family. Ooh.
Yeah, yeah.
And of course, they get their comeuppance on that one. I really like the foster parents in this movie too, much as I enjoy them in the comics as well. It's nice to see an actual positive version of the foster family system in a movie.
Yeah, the guy that got playing Victor, he's like a main character on The Walking Dead, and he's like the only good thing about The Walking Dead because he's funny and like he feels real as well as he does in this as well. Like you just can't not like him.
He exudes a positive energy.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
Also, too, again, we mentioned Freddy. All the kid actors are good, but you especially got to like Freddy's actor, because he walks this really interesting line of like, yes, I'm disabled, but also don't feel bad for me because I'm also kind of a dick, and I'm also the comedian and the ball buster of the team. And I'm like, man, kid, that's most adult actors couldn't pull that off. That's a hell of a tightrope they've given you.
Yeah, yeah. They all do that sort of like where they surprise you. All the kid actors, they all surprise you with the roles they have, because they're just so good. Like you don't expect a kid actor to be as good as they are. They're amazing.
I expect good things for all these kids in this movie, and I hope we get to actually see them grow up with us if this becomes a series, which I think it will, because I mean, reviews have been good. What was the box office like on this? I assume it was good.
I honestly haven't been paying attention to it. I think it's good. I did read something where like it might not be doing too well in China, but that I think that was might have been early reports. It might be doing well in China now.
That's a shame. Chinese people should love it. He's got a big, bright red costume, and all of his siblings come together as a community to overcome.
Don't they have a thing about magic though? Like they're kind of like iffy about like magic and mystical stuff, or are they
their version of it? Or at least, the North American version doesn't translate as well.
Yeah,
because they have their own lore and rules and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Which is weird because, like, it doesn't work the other way. Like, North American audiences love Asian-themed horror films and everything because it freaks our asses out, man. Because I don't know the rules to The Grudge and The Ring, man. I know the rules to Poltergeist and The Exorcism.
Yeah.
That's an actual conversation I had with someone after we saw The Grudge, where it's like, nah, man, I know how this movie's supposed to go. You go to the library, you find an old priest and a dusty book, and you figure out how to defeat the evil. Not in Japan, you don't.
Yeah, how the hell do you defeat? Yeah, how the hell do you defeat this creepy little kid thing? Just nuke the area, burn the house, And
even then, you might not be lucky. I mean, shit, that's what Cabin in the Woods was all about. The evil has been defeated. But yeah, Shazam, just so much to like about Shazam. I think it hits so many really great points in there. It's everything I wanted and hadn't been getting from a DC film.
Yeah, and like we said at the start of the show, like the because it's a low budget, they got to be smart and everything, which is when we come to the final battle, which was kind of teased in a lot of the trailers, where we see like him and Savada like fighting through the city. I'm like, that's like 2 minutes of the actual fight.
It's true. They actually do so much more with that.
Yeah, and I'm really glad as well, because like you see that and you think, oh god, here comes like the Man of Steel part of the film, and it doesn't turn to the there's no collateral damage in this film. Like he hits that statue in Philadelphia. I'm not sure who it is. They like hit the head off of it, and that's basically all the damage they do to the city.
Yep, that's about it. Yeah, they really go out of their way to try and protect everyone and everything, and that's what helps when you have a whole team of characters, because they can go around and help people.
Yeah. The 7 deadly sins are in this film, and like I liked them, but like I kind of wish they were a bit more defined in their like looks, because they're all looked very similar.
They're generic gargoyle-y monsters.
Yeah, and I was kind of hoping it's like, okay, they look like this to begin with because their power, like they're weak or anything, and as the movie goes on, they'll probably like grow and like change.
They'll take more human forms like they have in the comics.
Yeah, but they never really did, which was a real shame.
No. No, that they wanted Savannah to be the bad guy. I do like where it's like, seven bad, or seven sins for six champions and everything. I'm like, oh, that's clever. So everyone gets someone to fight and something to overcome.
Yeah, and those like end fights were like really cool, where they gotta save the Ferris wheel and
Mhm.
save all the people in the carnival while Billy's trying to fight Savannah, and I like that he learns about the villain's like powers and weaknesses before actually fighting him as well. Like they realize
That's a
like, oh,
great
the
moment.
eye, we've got to get the eye.
That's a great moment of, again, really good writing, characters learning as they see stuff, and again respecting the audience to pick up on those things as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They don't sit around like the dinner table discussing like, hey, we got to get the eye, and we get the eye, we take this out, he loses all the powers. You just like
And then
work it out.
also too, to probably assume where it's like, well, you as the audience have probably been counting sins the whole movie. It's like, wait, that's only six. Which one are we missing? Da, 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 da. Oh, envy.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, it's of course in Savannah. They have that great speech on top of that building where he like
Hmm.
lures Envy out. I thought that was really great.
It's great too that envy lives in the eye, because what do they call people who are being envious? You're being a green-eyed monster.
Yeah.
Which I thought that was fun. I'm like, ooh, it's a literal monster that lives in your eye. That's fun. Yeah, I mean, really, what else can we say about Shazam? I don't think I really have a bad thing to say about this movie, honestly.
No, it was really great. It wasn't overly long as well. I actually
No,
didn't know how long this film was going into it, and I was surprised to
I
learn
think
it
it's like
was.
2 hours.
Yeah, I was surprised to learn it was 2 hours, but it didn't feel like that. Like it just chugged
No,
along at a really nice pace. It was never like you're not sitting there going like, "Come on, get on with it," like you would like some of the other DC movies.
there's like no fat on it.
No, yeah, it's very, very like you couldn't do a Sandberg cut of the film,
No,
and have it actually be as good as it is now.
yeah, it's all in there.
Yeah.
It's all in there. Does great world building, sets up some stuff. Wizard Shazam looks great. The Rock of
Mhm.
Eternity looks great. All these places that I wanted to see.
Yeah, they set up the sequels in the post credit scenes really well.
Mr. Mind looks like how he's supposed to, a caterpillar with a talk box.
Seriously, like they made him look exactly like he does in the comics.
I love the voice they gave him too. This very condescending,
I like how
robotic,
creepy it sounds.
very creepy. And again, it's like you hear this horrifying, creepy voice, and it's like, oh, it's a little caterpillar with a talk box.
Yeah, yeah, I'm very intrigued to see what they're going to do. I don't think they'll do him for the second film.
Mm.
I think it'll be someone else, and I think like Black Adam will be like obviously the third film. But yeah, very intrigued to see what they're going to do
Yeah,
next.
you have to wonder where they're going with Mr. Mind. I think the fact that he mentioned all the different realms seeks to imply that
Hmm.
he's the new comic version, wherein he's from the monster realms and he's a monster, not like a weird alien thing that he was
I
in like the original
I
1930 stories.
I do have a feeling the sequel will be like adventure in Funland or the Magic Lands. You know.
Right. Now that you have your powers, now police all these realms.
Yeah. The one thing I do hope, because this was made by New Line. This wasn't
Mm.
made by like the usual people who make the other DC films. I'm hoping now that since they realize like they might have a big hit on the hand, they don't take that away from New Line. They keep it with New
Yeah.
Line and let them just do their thing. And then hopefully maybe as well, if that's successful, they give them more characters.
Yeah, I'd be fine with that.
Yeah, and then you've got like the New line
Universe.
universe of DC, which is really cool.
Ooh, another small little reference here. I don't know if this is something that's new in the comics or something they've changed around, but Billy's mom is named Cece.
Yeah, I'm
That
not
is
too sure.
that's a reference to Cece Beck, one of Captain Marvel, Shazam's original creators.
That's awesome.
His name was also Cece, and I'm like, oh, that's fun. And I knew it was a nerdy thing because in the theater, I'm the only one who went, ah. And everyone's like, why? Why was that important?
Yeah, was this integral to the plot?
No, but it's a fun reference. But yeah, I mean, really, what more can we say about Shazam? Just that it was good, that we really enjoyed it.
Yeah, yeah, I'm really excited for. I kind of want to go see it again because it was so good.
A lot of people have been seeing it multiple times.
Yeah, it's a fun film.
It is.
I look for. This will probably be the first DC film I actually buy on Blu-ray.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I hope there's a good commentary track attached to this.
Oh
I'd love to
yeah,
hear it.
yeah, yeah,
Ooh,
and Yeah.
Do a track with all the kids. Do one with the writer
Oh
director, and
yes.
then do one with all the kids. I want to hear that.
That'd be really cool. That'd be really cool. And I hope from this, the director David F. Sandberg, gets like the sequel and more work, and like
Yeah.
even like his like involvement in the film is like kind of crazy because he's like this guy who's known for horror. With like he did
Yeah.
like Annabelle, I think, and like a Lights
Yes,
Out,
please.
and like they're the only films he's actually done. And then
I would not have pegged
then
him
he
to have
does
any of
this.
this in him.
It's like a second James Wan, basically.
Little bit, and then it's like, well, okay, he did horror. Well, the scary scenes in this movie are actually pretty scary, so maybe that's why.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, he works so well, and it shows that he's a bit more eclectic when he can write in different genres and everything, and mix them together and whatnot really well.
He's got chops, he really does. And again, there's a monster land. I would love to see what a horror director does
Mm,
when we go to the monster
that'd be
lands.
really cool. Also, give him a damn Superman film. Just give it to him.
At this point, I think he could do it. I think he really could. If you could get something as weird and outside the box as Shazam, I think you can handle something as traditional as Superman.
Yeah, all because of the way they've handled it. Obviously this character is a bit more popular than Superman in the film. Let's do a Shazam Superman film.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Like
I
do,
mean,
do it around like the comics, like how Superman finds out that Shazam is just like a kid and then goes to the Rock of Eternity and like obviously you probably couldn't have that, but like talks with the wizard and tells him how bad it is and like teams up with Shazam to like help him learn more about his powers and whatnot.
we know that Shazam and Superman clearly know each other
Yeah,
now, so
yeah,
that's not hard to sell at all, honestly.
yeah.
But yes, that was Shazam. That was our spoiler cast. We talked about Easter eggs. We talked about where we would like to see this go in the future. I hope this becomes a big, fruitful franchise.
Yeah, I'm very excited to see where it goes, and hopefully it does really well as well.
I agree. I hope this one does well. I hope the stink of the other DC films and the bad old times doesn't affect this. Although it didn't affect Wonder Woman and Aquaman. So,
Yeah,
but then again, people know who Aquaman and Wonder Woman are. Shazam, he's a little bit more obscure.
yeah, you got to really sell Shazam, and I think it's working.
Yeah, it had a really good trailer. I would be surprised for the people who show up and be like, "Oh, this guy hangs out with Superman."
Yeah, exactly.
There's got to be those people. It's like, "Oh, I didn't even know this was connected to that. I thought this was like another thing."
Yeah.
If the same people aren't sure if Spider-Man is DC or Marvel, surely there are people who showed up who didn't know. The people who just go to everything. Now, which team does Hellboy hang out with?
Yeah, are all these movies in that cinematic universe?
Yeah. What about the boy from Brightburn? Which universe does he hang out with? I think Captain America should give him a talking to. But yeah, everyone, I guess on that note, we can start bringing this one to a close. I'm not sure how long this episode was, but it's about quality, not quantity.
Yes. I think it's a little bit shorter, but yes, the quality of the content was good.
Yeah, that's what happens here. I still got comics to catch up on from the week and everything. I'm
Mhm.
actually whittling down my pile like never before, which I'm happy about.
Same. I'm actually on single hand count now for my comics, which hasn't
Nice.
happened in like months.
I say that, but I'm sure next week will be filled with like new War of Realms
Oh
tie-ins
God,
that
yeah.
will make me pull my hair out.
Well, I think they're doing them in like a way that they don't overwhelm you, where there's like one or two out every other week or something.
That's good, and plus all the crossovers that are happening.
Yeah,
So yeah, that should be good.
yeah,
Again, be sure to come back next week, everyone. We'll have more comic multiverse goodness for you. Be talking about what we read, what we've seen, what we've been doing, and I think that'll just be a good old time. So
definitely.
until then, everyone, I've been Joel,
I'm Matt.
and we will see you all next time, everyone. Bye bye.
Bye.